A, safe working condition and the hiring of more nurses. The 25,000 member National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives called the strike action after the government refused to respond to a deadline for government movement issued by the union 15 days earlier. This was the first nurses strike in over 20 years. Among the issues in dispute are inadequate pay for nurses on call or who are working nights and weekends, and for mass recruitment of more nurses to sharply to shapely improve the nurse patient ratio. The dire situation facing nurses and the effect this has on patient care is highlighted by the fact that over 42,000 nurses have left Nigeria for jobs abroad in the past 3 years. The country's Nursing and Midwifery Council reported. The union's National Executive Council met August 2nd, 2025, then announced the strike has been suspended because there had been movements by the government ministers to look into nurses' demands. And these were the demands that made us to embark on that strike. The gazetting of the Nurses Scheme of Service, approved by the National Council in establishment in 2016 in Minna, Niger State. The second one is implementation of the National Industrial Court judgment of January 27, 2012. Then the third one, upward review of professional allowance, employment of nursing personnel, and adequate provision of health facility equipment. Fifth, creation of a Department of Nursing in the Federal Ministry of Health. Then the sixth, in conclusion of nurses in the healthship of health policy making bodies. Then seven, fair representation by the association on the board and membership in federal health institutions. 8, centralization of internship postings for graduate nurses. And 9, consultancy for nurses and midwives. These were our demands that made us to embark on the strike we did. So right now, all these demands have been made to the government and discussion has been going on, and we are hoping that at the long run, this strike will have effect and our demands will be granted to us. That is what we are still working on up to this moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nurse Chinwenwa. We did not start recording on time, so just to reiterate that this is a joint webinar of the Workers' Rights Campaign and the Elegant Nurses Forum, and which is looking at lessons from the recent nurses strike and looking at it from the angle of how we could you kindly mute if not speaking, or yeah. So yes, once again, the webinar is lessons from the nurses strike towards building workers' power, and we've just had the first of our guest speakers. So, and we're supposed to also have Nurse David Omodio, although I was in touch with him a short while back, and he said he would be able to be here except if there were still challenges of electricity, which he was facing at the time, the battery but his system was low and he was having problem with the generator. So if he's not here, because I've checked, I can't see him, would move straight to except if you're using another, there are a few unidentified names. Okay, but I don't think David is it. But once David joins us, if he joins us, hopefully, we'll have him. But it's a pleasure for me to invite a nurse and activist, a nurse educator, uh, Comrade Brice Nwagwoso, who is standing firm in resistance against oppression on several fronts. You're very much welcome, and would want you to speak on what lessons can we draw from the strike in terms of how we build workers' power. Before doing that, I'll quickly introduce Nurse Breeze. He's a nurse educator and legal nurse consultant, as well as a public health professional who drives impactful initiatives that revolutionize healthcare delivery. He's very passionate about promoting inclusive care and with specialized expertise in sexual and reproductive health, with a strong foundation in healthcare law and policy. So with this background, and even much more importantly, your activist spirit and perspective, what are those lessons that we can draw from this strike and towards building workers' power? So, Breeze, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and our fellow workers, I am honored to address you today on a crucial topic that affects us all. I hope I'm audible enough.
Loud and clear, Breeze, loud and clear.
Thank you very much. I'm still Nurse Breezy Marani Mamoso. I'm talking on the lessons from the nurses' strike and towards building workers' power. The lessons from the recent nurses' strike in Nigeria and how we can build workers' power to achieve our demands. I wouldn't be going back to some things that the first speaker in the person of Nurse Chinwe had actually highlighted. It's not a news anymore that NANNM, which is National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, organized the nationwide strike from July 29th to August 1st, which was called off after the government commitment to meeting some of the nurses' demands. The strike was a significant moment in the ongoing struggle between the working class and the ruling class. The demands and the achievements were, like the first speaker had already highlighted, was upward review of the shift allowance, adjustment of uniform allowance, implementation of a separate salary structure for nurses, increased core duty allowance, mass employment of nurses, and creation of dedicated nursing departments in the Federal Ministry of Health. While the strike was called off after the government commitment to meetings some of the demands, it highlighted the need for workers to communicate and to come together and fight for their rights. To start with, the first thing is solidarity. Solidarity. Oh, always when we talk solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. So that solidarity is so much of importance for us to achieve our vision of being strong and build workers' power. Now, in the importance of solidarity, the nurses' strike demonstrated the importance, the power of solidarity and collective action. By standing together, nurses were able to achieve significant gain and bring attention to their plight. As workers, we must recognize the importance of unity and solidarity in achieving our goal. Solidarity and unity is an integral part that we cannot do without. Building workers' power. How can we build workers' power? That's the next question. To dive deeper into the strategies of building workers' power, we start by the first point is organize and mobilize. Organization and mobilization. In organization and mobilization, organizing and mobilizing workers is crucial to building workers' power. Now, this involves unionization. What is unionization? Unionization is encouraging workers to join unions, not just joining unions, participating effectively and efficiently in the collective bargaining. Why this strike was a success that the government called for it to be annulled after 3 days was because there was unionization. We worked as a collective entity. And in the health system, we talk about the health system, we talk about the cardiac muscle, intercalated disc of the cardiac muscle. It works together for the heart to function. And that is how it is in unionization. We need to work like the intercalated disc of the heart. As unionists, to achieve our drive and get what we desire for the working class. Secondly is mass mobilization. We have to mobilize, organize mass protests, rallies, and demonstrations to bring attention to workers' demand. Thirdly is education and awareness. We cannot achieve this without educating our members, without educating the co-workers, for them to know their rights as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and as individuals. That is very, very sacrosanct for us to achieve collective action. The second point is building alliance. No tree makes a forest. No one person answers committee. No one car answers convoy. For us to actually achieve that is a lesson that we have learned, and we have to work on it to build our strength on that. Is alliance. Most times when labor unions like NLC goes on strike, they intimate on other sister professions or other daughter professions, of which NANNM is an integral part of, for us to go on strike alongside with them. That is alliance. Example, workers rights campaign is in alliance with Elegant Nurses Forum. And this alliance is actually creating a room for us to establish and expand beyond just the limit of our rooms. We are building synergy, drawing power from our other sister associations and unions. So under this building alliance, we talk about labor federation, partnering with labor federations to coordinate actions and share resources, of which human resources is an integral part of. The man that is anchoring this meeting right now is of Workers' Rights Campaign. And me that is speaking now is of Elegant Nurses Forum. Now there's a synergy, and this synergy has driven us beyond the little resources that we have. Resources here, I'm talking about human resources. Even material resources of information and data is an integral part of. Now, civil society groups, other civil society groups, we have to synergy with them and build alliance with them, collaborating with social civil society groups to raise awareness about workers' issues and build public support. Another point here is community outreach, engaging with local communities to build support for workers' demand. Example, the strike, this NANNM strike we're talking about was championed by Federal NANNM of FHI, which is Federal Health Institution. But there was what we call a down tool. They encourage states and local governments to engage. That is purely what we mean by community outreach. They reached down to nurses working at the community level, and that is why it was effective and efficient. That was power on its own. Another one is engaging in advocacy. Engaging in advocacy and lobbying effort is essential to ensure that workers' our demands are heard and addressed by policymakers. This includes policy advocacy. This is a niche I have interest in so much. Advocating for policies that benefit workers, such as improved working conditions and fair wages. That is one. Now, lobbying also, lobbying policymakers to support workers' demand and prioritize their needs is also another way of strengthening the nurses and our union to achieve whatever it is goal we have set on, especially when it comes to welfare of workers. Another one is public aware campaign. Campaigning is an integral part of it. Jingles going on radio stations, going on interviews publicly, and creating public awareness to educate the public about workers' issues. That's another one. Then the last but not the least point is developing leadership. In management, they said every problem is a leadership problem. Every problem of every organization is a leadership problem. So we need to develop leaders. We need to point to our leaders. We need to support our leaders. And at the same time, leadership training needs to be specially designed for aspiring leaders, providing training and developing opportunities for leaders to build their skills and capacity. Another one is mentoring. The way we can develop leadership is via mentoring. People that are there before us need to help the younger ones by giving them a ladder for them to climb down to the up. So pairing experiences by leaders and new leaders will also help in guiding and supporting. Now, successive planning is what we call successive planning, succession. People that will take over the people that are at the helm of authorities today needs to be built. So that is why mentoring and building of subordinates or subordinates are very, very sacrosanct. We develop succession plan to ensure that organizations have a strong pipeline of future leadership. Example, the current leadership of NANNM now. I and you can attest that the current leadership of NANNM at the federal level are trying. Now they need to build the young ones so that when they are no more there, the young ones take up the stage and lead in the foundation that our predecessors have already built for us. Implementing these strategies, workers can build the all aforementioned strategies. Workers can build their power and achieve significant gain in the struggle of better working conditions, fair wages, and improved benefits. In conclusion, the nurses' strike is a significant moment in the ongoing struggle for workers' rights in Nigeria. As we reflect on the lessons for this strike, we must recognize the importance of solidarity, collective action, and strategic planning in achieving our goals. By working together and building workers' power, we can achieve significant gain and improve the lives of workers across Nigeria. Here brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you, the host, and thank you to my audience.
Thank you very much for that intervention, that presentation, Comrade Breeze. I'm sure that just like me, many people found this very, very useful and insightful. As we said from the beginning, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So would appreciate questions, interventions from the floor. It's not just about Comrades Chinwenwa and Breeze teaching us, so to speak. We want and we're also still expecting Comrade David anyway. But so I'll also throw some. Yeah, I see Comrade Idris, you have the floor, please. You have the floor. Interventions, questions. So comrades also, please feel free. Raise your virtual hands and you take the floor.
Okay.
You have the floor, Comrade Idris.
Thank you, Comrade Babaye, and thank you very much to Comrade Chinwenwa and Comrade Breeze for the wonderful presentations. I like the way Comrade Breeze concluded things with by noting that every problem is a leadership problem, and I wanted to maybe ask a question that expands that thinking a bit to both Comrade Chinwenwa and Comrade Breeze. So my question is this: do you also take into account that maybe about how the biggest obstacle to achieving the goals for workers can be can be on the table of the political system or political class? And if so, is there a need to also begin to align, around, certain political instruments like political party? And also, do you think there is any such instrument at the moment that in Nigeria that represents, that can represent the interests of nurses better than the ones that currently exist?
Very good question. Very good question. I saw the hand of Grace. Grace, you still want to take the floor? I also see Shola's hand up. Grace, it would be great to also have you speak. But Shola, you have the floor, and Grace, I hope you'd want to come back immediately after that. Shola, you have the floor. And
Okay,
meanwhile,
I
Chinwenwa,
also
yeah, taking notes, Breeze, we'll all discuss this together. You have the floor, Shola.
okay, thank you. I also observe a very important mentioning of the leadership problem, which is always an identity that the trade unions or the associations have over the years, And I want to suggest, as because the Nurses Association, NANNMs are playing a very pivotal role in the sense of being a very, very strategic sector of the economy. In those days, Nupeng and Pengasan, they used to be very, very active until the leadership, compromised, and then they were able to prioritize completely the sector. But Edge, it's about life. And then, I think you talk about the training, of successor, training the leadership, training of those ones that are organizers who can serve as a sort of backup. They may not be in the forefront. Leadership don't have to be among the executives. Sometimes you can build some people with a very clear ideological orientation, that will be steering the association from time to time, giving the leadership that is needed, providing a check and guidance always, and that you cannot do that one solely because, we see a progressive union will come for 10 years, and then after 10 years, the management, they have a devices, they compromise with the management, and then the leadership will affect most of the followership. In Nigeria today, we have some progressive leadership in the 70s, but even now, we don't even we cannot even pitch any of the leaders now where they belong to, because they don't even have intellect to rule in the first place, So I want you to, of course, Workers' Rights Campaign provide a very good platform, to look for a way, to train few of your members who will be a successor in the future, in order to continue this a very progressive line, in your union, because health is very, very important. Now food has been taken away, from the masses of the people. And those of you that are lucky, that you are still working, you have something at least, you have to make sure that at least it matches the rate of inflation, that your money, because already statistics have shown that probably 30% of the nurses in Nigeria, they have fled away, for golden fleece. So I want to encourage you, Comrade Breeze and some other people on the platform who are members of the NAMS, to look for a way to recruit. Leadership has to do with the policy. We understand the policy of the laws, the labor laws that guides their sector properly, and then they'll be able to train, with ideology that will guide them, and then make them to have a pattern, because if you are just progressive without having any ideological orientation, you will lose it in the next few years. It's neither here nor there. That's just my contribution. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shola. Grace, anyone else also wants to jump in, raise your virtual hand before we come back for the panelists to speak to this. Whilst waiting, I also want to chip in one or two things from. Oh, great. Grace, you have the floor. You should be able to unmute now, Grace. I've asked you to unmute. You can unmute and speak.
Hello?
Hi.
Okay, good. Thank you for having me once again.
Oh, okay, that's Breeze, but
was...
okay. Grace, somehow you couldn't get you to speak again, but maybe when Breeze speak, you still come in. I saw your hand. I was asking you to unmute, but yeah, Breeze, go on.
Yes, looking at the first question that was asked with regards to the alignments in politics and the structures that are already existing, whether it is serving the purpose and the interest of nurses, or whether there's a need for us to build another structure on its own. I do tell people that politics is inborn. And why do I say politics is inborn? Is because there's a school of thought that states that there were many sperm cells that were chasing after the egg. And the egg was just one. That egg is...
Go on, Breeze. Hello? Are you there? I can see Breeze still in the house, but somehow it doesn't seem to be able to speak. Probably some tech issues, but I see Victoria's hand up. Victoria, you have the floor. Grace, you can still come back.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Victoria.
Happy to be here, though I came in a bit late because my network was being funny. I'm talking from Port Harcourt. I overheard our last speakers talking about unions, and he made mention of Pengasen and Nopeng. I am a nurse. I worked under Shell Hospital for 29 solid years. We were contract staff for 11 years before we were converted, and we worked for another 11 years. And we were in the union. Unfortunately, they suddenly came and sold off the hospital. And it may interest you to know that those union people we relied upon that ought to fight for the welfare of those of us that had that misfortune never did. If you see the salary stipend from what we were earning that we were thrown down to like a pauper and a beggar. So what I rather always say is most of these unions, not all of course, are mostly bought over by the authorities. So they hardly do what they ought to do. So rather for me, if we have a personal person in the authority, be it House of Assembly, House of Senate, that we can buy in and then table our cases, it may even work better than going through some of these unions. They are trying their best. And the last person made a comment that I even put on the post. That word, they don't have the intellectual capability, is not, it's too hard for me. Rather, I felt most of these leaders, they are in office, they are workers, they are also protecting their interests on the job. That's what I feel. So I just want to sit in that. Thank you for all you are doing. I'm very happy. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria, and thanks for bringing your wealth of experience. You did raise quite a couple of things. I mean, the issue of the place of the union, what is the actual nature of the union, the limitations objectively of the union, and for me, part of even the issue of leadership, relating it to the rank and file, and which I think we can speak more on. But I think it's questionable if we can really put our faith in the hands of the legislators. And when you look at it, in my view, and from what the evidence shows, it is usually where and when there is mass pressure from below that you have had the institutions of state and persons in these take up our issues for implementation. For example, one of the lessons from this strike was there were efforts for not just months, several years, but intensely for some months before the 15-day ultimatum was given, including with people with legislature, people in the legislative hand, people in the executive hand, but nothing much came out of this until there was the strike. So I think it's also important to factor that in. But thank you very much for your rich insight. I see Grace.
Can I still add a little thing? Just a little thing.
Right, please. Okay.
Remember what happened to nurses in Nigeria? Victoria go on what she did. So if we have somebody who is very close to people like Tinubu's wife, and you buy her in, I'm telling you, it's a giveaway. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. We'll discuss more, but you see, like the case of Victoria Gowan, these are passing things. It is workers' power that takes lasting. But let's talk more. I also see the hand of Grace up again, and I'm very happy you sorted out the tech beat and also Adenike's hand. Grace, you have the floor. Yeah, you can unmute now. Oh, that's a lovely young comrade speaking there. But Grace, you should be able to unmute now. I have asked you to unmute as well. Grace, click to unmute now. Or if you're finding it challenging a bit now, we could have Adenike and you could be ready to come in after that. I also see Adenike, can you come in? And hopefully we get Grace thereafter.
Okay. Good evening, the organizers of this Zoom presentation. I'm Adenike Susan Fafemi, Lagos State NANNM PRO. I actually joined because of the interest that this group has shown in reviewing the outcome of the strike action and the impact it has, and probably we'll be looking at way forward. I've listened with key interest to some of the presentations that have been made, and I also want to lend my voice to some. Part of it is the issue of leadership. When we talk about leadership, I often say that there is no good or bad leadership, but it depends on the pressure that is being mounted on these leaders. The truth is, if we all have our voices and we choose to just keep quiet and not lend our
It seems we lost Adenike, and that was okay. Adenike, you're back, but we can't see the connecting button. Adenike, can you hear us? I think Adenike is having some tech issues, but she was raising something. Whenever you come, if you can hear us, we are waiting for you, and you can come in. So just quickly, whilst we are waiting for Adenike, and anyone else also who wants to take the floor and open that Grace sorts out the tech issues she might be having, is a number of things came up from what Adenike said now, that the extent to which organized labor leadership moves is largely informed by the kind of pressures from rank and file. And I mean, we have seen this time and again, the union, yes, you have those elected, the bureaucracy of the union, but political and then administrative as those elected, those appointed. Adenike, yeah, good. I see you've sorted out. Please come
I'm
in.
sorry,
Yeah,
I think I'm sorry. I think that was a network issue. So
no
like I
problem.
was saying, the leaders cannot do anything if they don't have good followers. You and I will agree that for Nigeria, we understand that it is only NANNM that could sit down and negotiate on behalf of nurses. That simply means that whatever voice that we think we have outside of NANNM, we need to join hands together, probably seek for key posts in NANNM. Because I have to be sincere, that was part of what led me into, contesting for election under NANNM. Because I felt that I have a voice. And I feel that for me to make a change, I just have to belong. Haven't identified the fact that I cannot be outside and get things done. So if you have leaders that have been elected and the followers make them feel relaxed that there are no issues, they might not pursue key things that affect the members. But if we have leaders that are elected and the members keep putting them under pressure in the sense that they bring in different prayers, different agitations, they are left with no other choice than to address them. When it comes to leadership and the government, I want us to look at the issue of the government understanding that there are labor laws. I don't know, but so far so good, the experiences that I've had so far, I understand that some part of the government side, I mean probably Ministry of Establishment to be precise, they respect the union and they have this kind of interaction that shows that they respect the union. But there is this kind of bureaucracy in approving most of these agitations. This issue of strike is not something that was planned a day or two. For over 2 decades, NANNM has not gone on a nationwide strike. Initially, it was supposed to be the federal health institutions. But having had a discussion with the Minister for Health last year, nothing came out of it. If only the federal health institutions have gone on strike and the state institutions were working, probably we will not even have gotten the attention that we got. Then you have two members of the head team, that is the NMA and NANNM, writing the government almost at the same time. And then you see NMA getting attention more than NANNM. That was part of what triggered that reaction. So the government will definitely want to shy away from welfareism, but it is the responsibility of the association to push forward the demands of its members. And the only way that we can sustain our voices out there is by having other pressure groups teaming together with the association. I'm passionate about we rebranding the image of nursing. Oftentimes we see ourselves projecting negative image outside, and people don't even have good perception about our profession. But this time around, I can see that the narrative is changing because we are also preaching that we have more positive image out there. The public were enlightened. There's nobody, there's no sane person that will listen.
Adenike, we can't hear you again.
Well, hello? Hello?
Hello,
Hello?
we are hearing you. I'm hearing.
We are hearing loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So there is no sane person in Nigeria that will hear that there is a particular association that is representing nursing that has not gone on strike for over 2 decades, and they are on strike now. That's alone sensitized the public. The empathy came in. They felt it that okay, so that means these people are not treated well. When it comes to issue of wage, it's not like the government is doing too bad, but I must be
Hello,
sincere. Lagos State is better
hello.
than hello. Lagos State is better, but it's still not okay. So I want to join my voice to the other speakers that are encouraging other specialist groups, even if it's for us to get involved in non-governmental organizations to ensure that we keep projecting the image of nursing. For the issue of Pegasus, we had something like that in Lagos, where the workers in what do you call them now? I want to remember now. Water Corporation were laid off, but we stood up for them, and we were able to establish the fact that the way they were laid off was wrong. And the National House of Assembly accepted, and they instructed the Ministry of External to look into it. So if we have nurses out there and we continue, to promote negative image about the association, you barely see any doctor, okay, saying negative things about NME. If we have issues, we should come back home. Oftentimes I'm on so many social media platforms, but I don't talk. I only observe. It is only when I feel like, okay, fine, this group of people understand what it takes, to be a leader, to speak on behalf of nurses, and they have the intellectuals. I kind of align my voice to them. So I want to say it's an opportunity for us to talk together, to deliberate, and make suggestions on way forward. Way forward is we should at all time ensure that we cooperate with the directive of the national body. Assuming we did not monitor this strike action, a lot of nurses, despite that national directive, we're still going to work. And if we don't speak with one voice as a union, you will see that the government will not respect us. And we hope to achieve the best. And in terms of mentorship, a lot has been put in place lately. The younger generation of nurses are being trained on the issue of unionism, and they are encouraged to join the association. And I think it's very important that we encourage the young ones. The nursing leaders should try as much as possible, not discourage them. A lot of people are timid. It's not because they chose to be timid, but because they are afraid that if they speak up, they might be intimidated. We acknowledge the fact that some of our leaders cannot speak, or because of the position they occupied. I also want to agree with the speaker that did mention that then such leaders should just give information to the body that is concerned, to those that can represent them, and let them do the job for them. Nursing is for all of us, and we will definitely succeed if we cooperate. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for that. You raised quite a number of things, Adenike. I see that Comrade Thomas is there, and you have the floor, Comrade. And that's the coordinator of the ENF. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Comrade Baba. When the other speaker was asking, I said speaker, when the other colleague was asking a question, let me search for the name of the person again. The one that said the word was too harsh or something. I want to, okay,
Comrade Victoria.
that's
Victoria. Yeah.
yeah, Comrade Victoria. Yeah. Well, I've known Breeze for some time now. He doesn't know how to brand words. That's that's Comrade Breeze for you. But that's actually the true word. There's no how we want to brand it or paint it or to make it look sweeter than it is. That's the word. They don't have the knowledge. We are not saying they are daft, but not having the intellect means they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the knowledge to handle such situations. And she also made mention of the fact that we all need to be in the association. That's the impression I came to correct. Fine. NAM belongs to all nurses, but not all nurses are members of NAM. I am not a member of NAM. They have been actively involved in nurses struggles. And most of the time, it doesn't really have to involve NAM. I'm not in any competition with NAM. At least when NAM Arrow units reached out to the forum for assistance when they were being victimized and oppressed, we were able to stand up and, of course, assist where and when necessary, and to put the management of the hospital in their place when we saw that they were actually being witch hunted. You understand? But I just want everyone to realize that it's not all of us that will be in NAM before we can do something. There are private hospital nurses that NAM are rejecting simply because they are not ready to part away with certain percentage of their salaries. And NAM is not also ready to stand up to fight for their rights. We won't say because they are not members of NAM, so we should just throw them away like that or leave them to their fate. No, we all need to come together as one. And look at nurses are the greatest and the largest workforce in the hospital. That I myself am thinking that NAM should have sister organizations or sister unions, because NAM cannot do everything alone, because the leadership of NAM seems to be easily tired. And don't forget the fact that especially this dispensation, we are in an era of civilian dictatorship. They easily cage the NAM executives, scare them with their jobs and all of that. It is those of us from outside that easily patch things up for them, spice things up whenever they are fighting and they seem to lose their strength. It's not as if I've had so many of NAM executives come to challenge me that people are turning against them probably because of the forum, and I have to explain to them that no, we are not in a competition with you. In fact, if you need our help, we are ready to help. But don't make it seem as if NAM has the monopoly of doing everything all alone, when it's obvious that they can't even do half of it alone. So I want to correct that impression that we must be part of NAM before we do anything. No, it's not a must. Even NAM, when they get tired or they are being threatened with their jobs, they call on people like us to spice things up so that whenever they are fighting, it is people like us that amplify their voices to be heard. So it's not compulsory that all of us must stay put in NAM when NAM is not ready to accept everyone. Because I cannot imagine a private hospital nurse earning 60K, 70K to now start parting away with certain percentage of that money just to be in NANNM, when NANNM is supposed to collect flat rates and let everyone have a sense of belonging. But we at the forum are not in any competition with NANNM. But whenever NANNM needs our strength to amplify their voices, we are always ready to help. And those who are not part of NANNM, whenever they need us in any way, whenever their rights are trampled upon, we are always ready to help, both the student nurses and the working class nurses, the rank and file. Thank you.
I see 3 more hands up, and I'm enjoying the discussion. But just a few clarifications. Well, I don't think it wasn't Breeze that spoke about Nupeng. I think it was someone else from not Breeze. I appreciate the concern with regards to, yeah, Grace. I'm sorry, the tech issue you might have had. You should pay attention to media, especially the. Okay, good. I will read it out, but I just wanted to, so that the discussion also flows with the hands up, is that, and I'm happy about this, of that ENF, NANNM are not in competition, but I also think the place of the union, because, I mean, there are things that the rank and file organizations can do, you know, but negotiating and the place of the union is somewhat
Sorry,
different.
Comrade Baba. I remember something. I'm very sorry
No problem.
to cut
Yeah.
it short.
Yeah.
Because even our sister association, NMA, they have NAD, NARD. They also have, they have like 3 other bodies apart from NMA.
No, but those
And
are
they work hand
different.
in
It's like
hand.
it's like the way that NANNM also has FHI. Those are like subunits of NMA, but you know. So yeah, I
But
appreciate
NAD
the
seems to be
concern.
frustrating everyone. Like now, some FHI have already pulled out of NANNM. They see every other rising body as competitors. And I've said this several times that we are not in a competition with anybody. Thank you.
All right, all right. So we'll continue with the discussion, but I would like the take from Omonwumi and then Sani, and once again, oh good, and there is, yeah. Perfect. And then Breeze after that. Yeah. So, Omowumi, you have the floor. Yeah.
Good evening from here.
Good evening.
So I want to actually speak about the this cycle that we just had. So I want to let us know that there were a lot of us that were victimized, you know, by our leaders in the institutions we are working. And, within us, we wanted to join the fight, even though it was the strike was a little bit active. It was a bit active in our institutions. But at the same time, it was not really that active. And we were like, there are some of us that were ah, that our conscience was judging us. We were not so comfortable, like with the way things were going in our different institutions. We were actually victimized. So we don't know. I want to tell us if there is any way that um, our forums can help us, to communicate with our leaders, our HNS, head of nursing services in the hospitals, how we can communicate with them to join them with the young nurses, because the thing is that the young nurses have this they have this morale. They actually wanted to join, like they wanted to fight, they wanted to show the government that that we can actually achieve our goals in unity. But these our leaders, they wouldn't allow us So please, if there is any way you can just help. Thank you.
Thank you, Omowumi. Yeah.
Baba, can I respond to that?
Yes, please
Uh,
do.
when the strike was ongoing, I was monitoring and I received lots of complaints. I even wrote it on several nursing groups that if there is anybody being victimized, the person should reach out to us in the Elegant Nurses Forum so that we'll know where to. Some people complained from several general hospitals, like some complained from sent in complaints from Bagada General Hospital, Shomolu, and I think one other general hospital. I received complaints from 5 general hospitals. And immediately I swung into action. I called out the DNS of HSC, and I called out some of their MDs that was going to release their numbers. Immediately, those that complained sent in their write up to me again that the decision has been rescinded, the decision to punish them. So it is only when we are privy to information we can act. You understand? We are not witches and wizards. We cannot know what is happening in various places of work if complaints are not brought to us. But those that brought their complaints to us and we swung into action, the decision to punish them for joining the strike was rescinded, and immediately they sent in their appreciation to the Elegant Nurses Forum. So there is nobody that complained that we did not swing into action. It is only we cannot be everywhere. Nigeria is too big. Oh, we have 36 states and FCT. We cannot be everywhere. I'm based in Lagos. I can't be everywhere. Nurse Breeze is based in Ogun State. Several of us we are not everywhere, but whenever we receive complaints, that's where we can swing into action. That's just what I have to say. If you want us to do anything, you bring it to our notice. That's when we can know that, okay, this is what we are supposed to do in so place, this is what we are supposed to do in so place. Thank you.
All right. So, Omowumi, I hope you're taking note of that. Information is, knowledge is power both for you and for responses to attacks on you in building solidarity.
Yes, yes, I can understand that, and I'm grateful for that.
Excellent. Yeah, Adenike, two of the hands, I think Sani, I can't even say Sani again. Then there was another hand, but I see Adenike's hand now, and then Breeze. So,
Okay.
Adenike, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you once again. Comrade Thomas, in reaction to what you have said, for us, Lagos State SAC, we don't have any issue with you. We don't have any issue with any other pressure group because NANNM has been organized in such a way that we have a lot of pressure groups under us. And we try as much as possible to maintain good relationship with those pressure groups within Lagos and outside Lagos. For the issue of monitoring, during the election, during the strike rather, the Lagos State Council did go around to monitor most of the hospitals, like 90% of the hospitals were monitored. You see, we cannot continue to have our members not understanding that when there are issues of agitations, strikes like this, that they are only supposed to listen to the association. This is very important, and that we have been pushing to them. Oftentimes, when you give directive, you see nurses going to work on their own without being called. And we also have people that go to work because probably they were called and told that they will be given something. Ironically, we have a colleague of ours that lost her job because there was a strike action and she decided to go and work and earn. along the line, issues came up. She couldn't come to the association because at that time there was a strike action. So I don't think from us, I know the state secretary does reach out to you. I don't think from our own end here we have any issue with having other voices heard. The only thing that I did mention was that we should learn to rebrand the image of nursing, project the positive side of nursing. And if we have internal crises, we should address them in-house so that people can respect our profession. And I also want to maintain that there is no doctor that comes out to speak against NME. When you talk about ARD, they are part of NME and they work closely with NME. When you have the resident doctors going on strike, the consultants are working, right? But they don't work fully. They always push the narrative that they cannot work without their registrar. So they are always together. We should unite to fight a common cause, especially if you notice during the strike, FMC Ebutemeta came out with a narrative. But when they got pressures from outside, they changed the narrative because they understand that whatsoever that we are fighting for, they will definitely benefit from it. Then for the private nurses, for us in Lagos State, they cannot say we are not accommodating them because the private nurses are under AGPMP and Dr. Wale Oladapo is in charge of them. Anytime we hear crisis within the private setting, especially Evercare, they will attest to the fact that we have been going there on their behalf, not minding that they are directly not under NANNM. But once they are with AGPMP, we are always supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adenike. Before we come to you, Bridge, you know, you are a panelist. You have that privilege of also a holistic response. And I just saw earlier, Sani, thank you very much. I saw your message that you left another meeting because you were enjoying the discussion here and that you will come back. I was saying earlier that we didn't see you again. And thank you that you came back. So you have the floor and please speak.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This is Sani Aboreke Oladikan, the Vice Chairman, NANNM Chairman, Kwara State. I'm happy to be amidst the Honorable House and the comrades across Nigeria. I've listened to different people with different perceptions, and I've deduced some points and some tangible way forward to how nurses can, at least that can have their way when it comes to demanding for what it takes and what they needed to have in commensurating the job they are doing. Yes, I would say that like one of the participants said that we need to join hands with some of these antitrans. All these antitrans, if we can carry them along, at least it's going to go a long way for us as a nurse, because when we make our services well known to them and they know the importance of what nurses are doing in the hospital setting, I think, and we can win their heart towards us. I think when the times like this comes up, can be able to make use of them to fight for our demands. Having said that, based on maybe we should look for ways of finding ourselves in the corridor of politics or power, fine. I would say that I've been in nursing at least for some decades now, and we have been trying to see ourselves in the corridor of power. At least we know ourselves that when things come up, like fighting or even agitating, or even to maneuver or seek for some what our members deserves, we are always there. Or you see these seniors, our guys, they found not to allow us to speak out. I say in 2014, I'm a unit chairman in one of the hospital facilities in Kwara State, which I'm a junior staff, and the chairman I preceded happens to be my senior, a chief nursing officer by then. I'm NO. Then I'm just 2 years plus in the service. But he gave me that autonomy and power of Anthony, at least to work under him and to exercise my all power and all the rules that guides me. I make use of it, and they enjoy my service. But other health workers, like my doctor, find it difficult to work in that environment because he sees me as a threat. Why we find some of our nurses are also, they say that wala Sonny po, Sonny has to like problem, well, which is not. But just we are trying to put a kind of, to put things straight, to put a record straight. That's what we are trying to do. And I've seen some of our nurses that they are in the corridor of powers. We've had in Kwara State, we can't be less than 5 commissioner for health in Kwara State. But when you approach them for an assistance in terms of what we are, our demand, they will turn it over. They will be the one to even be against you. They will just be playing you as if they are not part of you. That's what they do, which is very wrong. We can't say that we don't have a nurse as in House of Assembly now. We've had a nurse in Kwara State. There is a speaker, House of Assembly in Kwara State, and then nurses are suffer during the time of, that's 2009, 2010, that time that we are looking for ways that even is this period, as the period that we just had our 100% coins since when Baba Yabo has given us what is it called, 18,000 minimum wage. They are paying us 9,000 naira, and we have a speaker we have a nurse as a speaker. So what are we saying? We have them like that in politics, but they cover themselves, they hide themselves on the name of they are not ready to stand for what they are. Because I have one of my sisters said we should promote who we are. Let's promote ourselves. Anywhere you are, let people know that I'm a nurse. You can beat your chest. At least your workplace as a main nurse, at least they call us, at times they call us doctor. I always tell them, I'm a nurse. I'm not a doctor. So when we are talking about demanding for our rights, demanding for our what, I think we need to join forces to other artisans, not only fighting for ourselves. Like in Borno, this is our last strike. Borno State failed to join now. They said it's only federal that should join. I have the letter as a junior leader. I'm a vice chairman in Kwara State as a NANNM. All the letters across all the states, I have it. Loot in Lagos State is not part of NANNM. As a federal, it's a federal body, but federal institution, but it failed to join now. So, which is all those ones they are resolving it underneath. I love my sisters, Sister Funke. Let's have other bodies. We are nurses. Let's form another body that when something like this comes up, let's pull together to move this association forward, and all what we demanded for can be given to us. As we have in my home case, in my union, at least, when we are talking about wants to meet the governors, say, well, we have some people that we need to can just touch one or two persons, and what we are looking for will. But since I'm not the chairman, he tells you, please, don't worry, I'll call you. Maybe we'll talk later. And there's a lot of some meetings that I always tell them, please, can I follow you? They'll tell me, you just don't, you can't go. It's only me and secretary and the treasurer that will go. You can imagine. But we always see ourselves as okay, because I'm not on the seat of that power. I always allow them to go because they will always tell us, wait for your time. You understand? So that is my stake. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nurse Sani. We're winding up now. We're supposed to be an hour, but a number of important things have been raised. And then before we come to Breeze and Chinwewa, I see also Comrade Thomas, your hand is up. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Comrade Babaye. Part of what I said is what Comrade Sani said. Like I said, some FHI pulled out of NANNM due to misunderstanding, and I want to believe they are resolving amicably. But I have always said it that NANNM should not see any other pressure group, or if any other union at least, as competitors. Because the way some of the leaders in NANNM behave, they behave as if they can't even do it. They don't even know the reasons they are elected as union leaders. They don't even have knowledge, ideas about unionism. You know, when I engage some of them, I'll be like, how did this person get into a union? You understand? Not only in NANNM, there are some other unions, but those ones, they are well covered because lots of other people who are union leaders are also, they are enlightened. They know what unionism is about. Some of them actually studied about it in school. And you know, but in NANNM, they, even till this present moment, they try to suppress the young nurses from expressing themselves. And you see, I've always said, if for nursing to become better, you need these Gen Zs. You need them because they are the ones that are vibrant mostly. And not that some of us are not radicals too, but they will be the ones to join forces with us. And each time NANNM leaders see them expressing themselves, they try as much as possible to suppress them. And they try as much as possible to, you know, silence decent voices, which should not be so. Leadership position is not about seniority. Anybody that is looking for seniority, I don't think has any business in union. I'm not encouraging the Gen Zs or the young nurses to be rude. No, they should not be rude. Courtesy demands that they respect their seniors, but they should not be silenced while expressing themselves, their feelings, and all sorts. We've seen cases where nurses you know, have no choice other than to take drastic steps. We've seen cases, I know how many nurses that have run into depression that I've had to refer to my oga at Yaba for help. I know it should not degenerate into that. And as for private hospital nurses, majority of them, I personally, 2 years ago, I referred some of them to NANNM to see what NANNM leaders would do before I took up that their case with Punch newspapers, and they were eventually paid their salary. They were owed 3 months salary by the hospital they work for, and thank God they have their appointment letter They were asked to sweep the floor for environmental. They refused to, and all of that. I purposely gave them the contact of NANNM executive. They called. NANNM specifically told them that they are not due paying members, and they could not fight for them. And I told those nurses that, okay, I knew that was what NANNM would say, but I specifically wanted to give them benefit of a doubt. And that was the reason I later intervened. And thank God they got their salaries paid and they got jobs elsewhere. And like I've said several times, even on this chat, that we are not in any competition with NANNM. We are just ready as a pressure group to support nurses from all angles, be it NANNM member, be it non-NANNM member. In fact, if NANNM wants to do anything, as far as the Elegant Nurses Forum is concerned, whenever we hear about it, we try as much as possible to amplify their voices. And the Arrow issue is an example of it. And I thank God, be it Punch, Daily Trust, Sahara Reporters, whenever we write, they are always ready to publish, stand by any day, anytime. There were even times I've asked NANNM executives to write press statements, send to me, and I send it to the media to be published. We are not saying NANNM voice should not be heard. We are only amplifying their voices. But they should not now see us as competitors and want to fight tooth and nail. It will not produce a desirable result if we now start fighting each other. And of course, we do not intend to fight anybody, but if they bring it on, I'm not the gentle type. Thank you.
All right, all right. Thanks for that. Breeze and Chinwewa, if you want to come in, then maybe we tie some of the threads together. And it's been a very, very great conversation thus far. And itching to also chip in a bit. But yeah, since Breeze, your hand is already up. Otherwise, I would have said, I come in, then you as one of the speakers. So you have the floor anyway.
Yes, Nose Breeze is present now. I don't know if they can hear me. The audience can you hear
Loud
me?
and clear.
Yes, comrades, greetings once again. I've followed this webinar from the beginning till now, and be told I've been enjoying it.
Breeze, we seem to have lost you. Are you there?
I think his network is poor.
Okay. Chinwewa, you want to come in?
Yes.
Okay, we hope Comrade Breeze too can come in later. You have the floor, Chinwewa.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Comrade Babaye, and every other comrade that has spoken. I want to look at the contributions and questions. The first question I have here, I don't know the person that asked it. I think she typed it. She said, do you also take into account the biggest obstacle can be on the political class? Well, yes. But if we as nurses, our nurses association, if we play our role very well, we'll be able to get whatever our demands are. Now, over years, I think I've observed something concerning the nurse leaders that we have. Because I remembered there was one time in my own organization, they wanted to appoint new NANNM executives, and I had some nurses, my juniors in school, my seniors, the nurses I've worked with. They came to me privately and said, Nosanya, I want you to go and contest for the PRO post. You can speak for us. because of experiences and things that I've witnessed, I told them that I don't think I want to do that. They said they are behind me. Okay, no problem. I went there. When I got there, they said their forms is finished. So over time, I found out that this group of people that have been appointed, they look like they have a carcass. They have a carcass in the sense that they relate with the people at the management. It's like they have a kind of understanding. And I want to believe that the people at the management has an influence in appointing them. And that is why when you look at our struggles, it seems as if we're not achieving anything. So the question, or what I tell people like me, myself, other nurses, I tell them, I said, that same position, some of us will be there someday. The question is, are you going to behave like them? Or you will get there and change things? I told everybody or people that are concerned, I said, ask yourself this question. So in this vein, this question, yes, the political class, yes, can be an obstacle because of the people that are representing us. Because this group of people, they are not there to represent us. They are there to dance to the tune of those people that they believe they are working for, not their group that they are representing. So the way things are happening today, at least we can feel some change, like having some leaders that are now appreciating that your being there is to represent your members and not to dance to the tune of people in the management or people in the political arena. So let there be change. But I know it's difficult based on what Sani, because Sani also, no, Sani was also talking towards that. Even when you're part of them and they see that you as an individual, you're concerned about the assignment given to you as an EXCO, as a representative of this group of people, when they want to go for things, they still want to keep you aside. But the question is, for how long is all these things going to continue? For the advice I will give, wherever we are in our own little way, let's try and make impact. Let's try, in case this same group of people, you might be with them, maybe they don't understand the implication of what they are doing. Maybe one can take time to talk to them. We just believe that they could change. That is one. Then another somebody again, no, I think it was he Adenike, or no, I think it was Breeze. He was trying to talk about leadership, then mentoring. So in the mentoring, over time, I've seen some nurse leaders that have never, and I don't think they will ever represent us well. What they do, these young nurses, those ones that are gullible, when they see them, they draw them so close to themselves and they start mentoring them negatively. To me, I call such a thing witchcrafty, wickedness in the highest order. So that is why at times I sit back, I said, why is it that all this aspect of nursing or nurses has not gone away? It's because this same older nurses, they sit back, they look at some young ones, They try to bring them into their wicked carcass, so many terrible things. But I still tell those young ones, I said, one day you people will be leaders. And one thing they have to understand is change. Change is constant. So what I'm trying to say is that let us try in our own little way to tell these young ones, love them, tell them that we should have different narratives today about this profession. There should be unity amongst us. There should be love. I remember when I had to give talk on self-love for nurses. I told my colleagues, I said, we need to love ourselves first. Because if you don't have that love, you cannot share it. So let's learn how to love ourselves. By the time we love ourselves, we'll be able to share that love. So then this other lady, I think Nurse Victoria, she talked about this intellect, that it was a harsh word. Well, from where we're coming from, we had nurses that had RN, which was just an ordinary professional certificate. Well, even at that, we still met some of them that, were sound up there. Now we have to look at our socializing with other group of people. And that is why I like what we're doing here. Being part of the Elegant Nurses Forum has made us to mix with other people. I like that. So we have to look at where we're coming from. We have so many nurses that all they know is go to work, go back home. Go to work, go back home. Some of them, the highest thing they could do is put themselves inside the church. And when they come out, they still want to use that church doctrine. I don't know, they want to use it to maybe start castigating their fellow nurses, which is not right. So another thing we have to do is to encourage ourselves to belong to other social bodies so that we can meet other people from other walks of life. When we go there, we interact with them. We see the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they approach people. We can learn from there. So that intellect you're talking about, well, I don't think it's harsh. It's not, harsh somehow and not harsh, because when you look at some of our nurse leaders, when you look at the way they rationalize things, it seems as if, they are not really thinking. So don't be offended with that word. I think that word will help every one of us as nurses to think better, to view things in a better way, in a way that will affect the profession, make the profession improve the care of our patients as well, improve our interactions with our patient, with their relative, with the people that comes in to work with us. So I think that is that. Then Adenike, is it Adenike from Lagos State? She said it's one of the NANNM PRO.
Yes, Adenike, Nurse Adenike.
Yes, Adenike. So she now said no good or bad leadership, that it has to do with the pressure from the people they are leading. Well, one thing with this life is that once people are opportune to be leaders, one person cannot be a leader alone. A leader has to be surrounded with other people that are going to give advice, that they are going to assign to do this, do that, do that. That one leader might not be able to oversee other things. So those people around that leader are those ones that should be ready to do what is right. Then the masses themselves, she mentioned the people they are leading to put pressure. which is also cut across our own association. We have our NANNM ESCO that are leading us. Then they will be the one to like interact with other, bodies in the institution. Then at times, this representative, they might not even give you space to air your view. They take decisions, they come, they pass it, they don't even want to know what the reactions are. But for me, I keep saying change is constant. If we, or some of us that have not been to that NANNM group, if we are opportune to be there, let's try in our own little way to start making some changes. If we don't know that nurses are supposed to be represented very well, because we've been through a lot. If our leaders don't go represent us well, I wonder how other healthcare professionals, how they will be looking at us. The institution where I am, at times some certain decisions will be taken. The question I'll be asking, I'll be saying, is it that we don't have a nurse representative there? And I'm sure I'm not the only one experiencing that. It should be happening somewhere also. These are the questions I ask. I know with the way things are going, it's just for a while. But what I'm saying, anybody that is there to represent us, let them represent us wisely. Let them represent us very well. And representing us in that vein, we should be able to know our function. We should be able to know why we are there. And we should be able to be inquisitive, ask questions, make yourself relevant. And in making yourself relevant, that means you know what you're doing, you know what you want. Because most times, there was one time, some years back, the NANNM executive they had in my own institution, I don't know what post that nurse has, although he's retired now. Making statements, clear statements, was difficult for this nurse. And he was now one of our NANNM officials. I cried, but he's retired. So now, looking at somebody that cannot express himself representing us, what is he going to tell the people he's going to represent us with, or the people he's going to meet if we needed to make demands? It's a problem. So let's start today. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's look at those nurses that have the interest of this profession. Let's bring them out so that they will be our nurse representatives. Then Stanley, I've almost mentioned what Stanley, I understood all what Stanley was trying to say. Well, I have to encourage him, don't lose hope. I heard you saying they were supposed to go represent somewhere, and you wanted to be part of them, and they told you that you're not the chairperson, the chairman, or whatever. They don't want you to go with them. But don't lose hope. You're already in the system. And I'm sure if you do well, people will recognize you. And by the time you come in as one of the NANNM chairman, I'm sure people will vote for you. So what I'm trying to say is that let's advocate for what is right. And the only thing that will help us to beat all these things is for us to always do the right thing at every point in time. Even if we are amongst those people that are doing the wrong thing, let's stand out. and do the right thing. That doesn't call for us quarreling or fighting, but just maintain your stand, your steps, maintain it, do the right thing. And I'm sure one day you'll be picked as a savior, as a messiah that will, continue to do the right thing, that will continue to fight for this nursing profession in Nigeria. Then, where I think, okay. So, I think there's a question I was trying to write out. Somebody was saying, please, NANNM should pay attention to media representation and nurses, especially the movie industry. Why lobby is going on? They too need to be used as I didn't finish writing it. Well, I think in that vein, we've had a lot of problem with this media. I don't know whether she's talking in respect to how the media portrays the nursing profession. I don't know. But if it is in that vein, now there's a lot of things that we as nurses we have not come to understand. But I think with time, with this exposure, and having the leaders that are exposed, that knows the right thing, that knows the right channel to go through, I think that will help us. With this media of a thing, we on our own, we have to write, get in the lawyer, write to the necessary areas, House of Representatives, the judiciary, telling them that we don't want this thing. They should give warning to those people that are portraying us wrongly. We can do that. But because those of us or some of us that are aware of this thing, because we are not at that top, so anything we are saying is none of anybody's business. But with all these little groups, the Nigerian Nurses Forum, because when that one came up, the NANNM officials, they felt threatening. But it's not like that. Now we have the Elegant Nurses Forum. We have the, so many forums concerning nurses. These forums they are like forces that will help propel our demands as long as nursing profession is concerned, to better the profession in everything, especially in the care of our patients, our interaction, our care about our patients. All these bodies, they are going to support NANNM to help us be better. Then I want to chip in again on this PACRI, this nursing auxiliary nurse thing. I think for years I've been writing, I've suggested ways by which we can go about that, which the pharmacists, they've done that. If you look at them today, if you're not a pharmacy, if you're not a pharmacist, you cannot operate a pharmacy. Even if you're like a businessman and you needed to operate a pharmacy, you must get a pharmacist there, standby. So we as nurses, we can eradicate these auxiliary nurses if we want to. What we have to do is still getting the lawyers involved, and they will help us to write to the right channel, the House of Rep, the judiciary, the House of Senate, and they will pass our demand into Nigerian Constitution and Nigerian Bill of Law. And that thing will be affected. I've suggested this thing several times. The only thing I see, people will just wake up in a state because they just made a nurse, a new director of nursing services. The next thing she will do, she will just carry some nurses. They will start going to hospitals. Such a thing will not have effects, because I mean, it's not in our constitution. It has not been passed as a bill. And I've mentioned this thing severally. So at times, so recently when they discuss about this auxiliary nurse of a thing, I don't contribute any longer. And we have nurses. We have nurses in House of Rep. We have them in House of Senate. We have them in the police force. We have them, nurses. But the ones I've come across, like when I talk to them, I said, you were once an RN and now you're in House of Rep. They will say, please, oh, is that nothing I've come to represent? I said, why? Why will you be saying that? And they keep narrating the sad stories, sad experiences they had as nurses. And I keep telling them, I said, you wouldn't pay us back or pay this profession because this profession was just like a stepping stone. So you wouldn't pay this profession, with evil. You might think you're it's not even the profession, it's the people you found, the people you met. And if you say you want to pay back, it's the profession that is suffering. And that is why the the medical doctors, you see them when they talk, you see them talking about their patients, putting their patient in front, everything is their patient. And this patient is not just only for them. Anybody that comes to work in the hospital, the cleaner, whoever, cook, anybody, all the goal is towards the patient. So that is the more reason why when we have terrible experience with our colleagues, let's don't, because those colleagues, we might not see them, we might not meet them. So, and the pain, we'll just be putting the pain on the profession, and the profession will just be dying, or the profession will just be, they'll be dragging the profession inside the mud. In essence, what I'm saying this evening is let's have a better perception about this profession. I know some of us in this profession can be terrible. If I start narrating my own experience, we will not go today. But for me, I've told myself, I said, Chinwe, you're here because of this profession, not because of your fellow human being. And that is the more reason why whatever you can do to better this profession, do. And that is why I'm part of this, group, this forum today, to see that nursing in Nigeria becomes better. And nobody else can do that for us. Nobody except we as nurses. Then another thing I want to say, I've spoken to, because for the past 3-4 weeks now, I've been working alone and I've been having new nurses. They just recruited new nurses, on orientation, the intern nurses, the students. So I work, I teach, trying to let them see that this profession can be better. Through them, through me, let's have one goal. Let's have the same perception. Every day I talk. So when I have spoken to some, and this is the response, they will say, Shebi is women. And that statement, I don't know how to describe the feelings I get when I hear nurses say that. And I asked them, I said, you're saying women. The teaching profession, they have women. The legal profession, they have women. And these women are making names. In medicine, they have women. In engineering, they do. So I don't understand. I tell them, I say, please, if you've had that perception, please go and put it inside the ocean and forget it there. And tell yourself that you're a woman and you can do better. So in essence, what I'm trying to say, now that we are here, now that I believe that every one of us that are here today, we have a goal. The goal is to better nursing profession in Nigeria and to help us improve on our interactions with our patients, patient relatives, the people we work with, ourselves, improving what we do. I want us to take one thing home today and pause that we are here to improve the nursing profession in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chinwe. Thank you very much for the incisive and robust responses covering a wide range of issues discussed thus far. That was quite brilliant. Thank you. A number of issues also came up, and Breeze is also on standby. I hope you sorted out the tech issues, so we'll have Breeze also respond as panelists, and then Nurse Thomas as coordinator of the ENF, and then we'll wrap this up with a few interventions on the discussions thus far. So, Nurse Breeze, take it on. You have the floor. I hope you can speak now. You can unmute yourself. I hope there's no techie problem at the moment. Comrade Breeze, you can unmute. Could you go ahead and speak? Can you hear us?
It's not on the standby.
Yeah, but it's still okay. I think he's dropped off. It's the tech issue still continues. So, Nurse Thomas, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I was moved when Nosayan was speaking because she covered almost all areas of where I would have loved to speak, but I like to buttress her points. First, whenever we want to have the next NAM election, now that I have lots of information about now the last NAM election in Lagos State that was flopped. This time around, we all need to get involved. I'm not talking about contesting because I will never contest for a NAM position. But anybody that wants to contest must bring forth their manifesto. Let's see what they have to do. Not the ones that we have had previously that want to be bossing everybody around, claiming seniority in unionism, which is not right. Let's have what they want to bring to the table, what they have to offer the association, what they have in stock, what they want to do. Let's have their manifesto. And personally, I've said it before now. I think I discussed with Comrade Breed that, okay, the Elegant Nurses Forum will be able to bring forth people who want to contest NAM elections. Let's have their manifesto, and we'll now watch out for who to now present to the group to, support. Because if we keep just criticizing without knowing the electoral process, it will seem somehow. We should not have an association that will be run like a cult. We need to know the electoral processes. It should be open. So let's know who. In fact, there was one time they were contesting for a NAM election, and somebody said he wanted to go and contest in the federal stage of NAM. Okay, what position do you want to contest for? And the person said he doesn't know yet. And I was like, is this how they run NAM elections? The person had to say it's until they get there, they will now know the position. Why should it be so? It's supposed to be an open election, not an association run like a cult. That's number one. Then number two, about the issue of the uh the older generation mentoring the younger ones in a wrong manner, making it seem like a witchcraft. I want to agree to an extent because we are just blaming some of these people in politics by now. Some might be due to previous trauma, past experiences. In Ogun State, we once had a deputy governor who was once a nurse in OUTH, Madam Salimot Badru. But eventually, when she became a deputy governor, she said she does not want to be identified with nurses. In fact, she stated it clearly that everything in nursing has been wiped off her brain. That she wants, and whereas she practiced last in OUTH. But because she once had a background of teaching, she had a, I think, grade 2 or whatever in teaching line before she came to nursing due to passion. But because she was mistreated, she was victimized in OUTH, she refused to come out of that trauma. That by the time she became a deputy governor, she said she does not want to have anything to do with nurses because of the ill treatment, what the injustices meted at her by senior nurses in OUTH. Lots of people rallied around her. In fact, the people that benefited that time from the state government more were teachers through Salimat Badru, because nurses mistreated her, and because she felt she couldn't get over the trauma, she decided to do away with nurses and embraced teachers. So whenever some of these older nurses act, whenever they do things, they don't put into consideration that anybody can become anything in future. You see, that's why the Gen Zs will always like me. I embrace everybody. Not because I'm not a senior or not because anything. You see, in life, whenever you are to do things, always put into consideration the fact that you might meet this person on your way climbing the ladder to the top. So because of that, our senior nurses should learn how to behave. People like Nurse Anyanwu, she's my senior colleague in the profession. There are few people like that I can point out to that they impact people's lives positively, but the bad ones, the number of the bad ones outweighs the number of the good ones, because I don't know what they tend to gain by oppressing and victimizing younger colleagues or junior colleagues. Because at a certain stage, that junior colleague might be privy to hold power or any other position sometime in life, and the way you treated them might reflect this. The way we react to situations differs. You understand? What I would say can just let it slide. Another person might not be able to survive such. Imagine what I went through in the school of nursing as a student nurse, but I still stood my ground that I will fight for the rights of student nurses till I graduated. I fought for the rights of student nurses. It got to an extent I was summoned to a panel in the Ministry of Health twice. I went there, I came back. I was still not discouraged. Look at it today now. It is majority.
I'm going downstairs, like downstairs.
Hello.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So look at it today now. Majority of those people who treated me badly those days when I was a student nurse, majority of them now come back to me that, oh, see what we are going through. Please fight for us. See what we are going through. And I've not stopped fighting for them. I would not say because they mistreated me or because they victimized me. And that's why I will always encourage the younger nurses too to develop a coping mechanism. You understand? Do not allow them to suppress you. Do not allow them to tamper with your mental health. Develop a coping mechanism. You understand? So as at that time, if I had allowed myself to be totally suppressed, and of course I've been plunged into depression, I don't think I would be in the position I am today, where all of them who treated me badly in the past are now running to whenever they have injustices meted at them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We are way behind schedule, but I also see Nurse Ajibola's hand up, and she hasn't spoken at all. So I'm sorry you'll have to keep it brief, but I'm happy for you to speak. We are 17 minutes behind the scheduled time for the meeting to have ended. Please, you have the floor.
All right, thank you so much for every comrade that have spoken well. Nursing profession is, we just have no choice other than to do all we can to promote it. A lot of things have gone wrong, most especially from the side of our leaders. I think there should be major something to be done. A reporting system should be put in place to report any early senior officer that intimidates their juniors. Because with intimidation, many nurses cannot grow to have that confidence to fight for their rights. Then secondly, there should be need to overhaul the present Nursing and Midwifery Council Act that allow the doctors to be part of the composition and also reduce the autonomy we have in nursing. Then it should be pushed to the House of Assembly to pass into law. Both quackery, autonomy, all these things will be solved. Then another thing, one of us speak about interacting with other people. It is very, very important. We have a PharmD now, we have a PharmPhysio. So they are able to move to PhD, we can do it by restructuring. Then the last but not the least, there should be political education that will make nurses to know their fundamental human rights. When it is suppressed, who to call. So all those things are very, very important. The lesson learned so far from this strike is that nurses' voice can count if we actually have good leaders that knows what it takes to demand for what is right for the nurses at all times. Thank you so much.
That was brilliant, succinct, and very, very punchy. Thank you very much. There's a lot
sorry, Baba, sorry, I remember something. I'm very sorry to cut you short. Sorry. The word is defense mechanism. Develop a defense mechanism so as to be able to, balance when it comes to victimization. Of course, when it comes to stressors of life, you develop a coping mechanism. But before developing a coping mechanism, you develop defense mechanism. What you need to develop your own armor. That yes, this is what I do in defense of myself, or whenever things like this occur, this is the way I react so as to, if it means that you need to talk back, it's a way of defense mechanism. Talk. Don't let them plunge you into depression.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so very quickly, as I said, we are very far behind schedule. So I'll just a very few things. One, leadership. A lot has come out with regards to leadership. Leadership is not restricted to leadership at the top or nationally or in the union. Everyone that puts himself or herself to organize, to mobilize, is a leader at some level or the other. And the more leaders in our class, the better. And then we talk of the leadership of our class. We talk of how we mobilize rank and file workers. So you have rank and file leaders, you have union leaders, and without this broad network of leadership, we cannot fight and win. Two, leadership also requires, as Ajibola pointed out, political education. I mean, it is not enough to, you need to, what you know you are master of, what you don't know is your master. And also the issue of how do we move from here to there? How do we defend what we have won? How do we advance? Well, these are things that have to do with political, like the kind of discussion we're having is political education. And we need it on consistent basis. So for those of us that are, in the union, there's the need to carry out extensive political education within our unions. within the rank and file organizations like the elegant nurses from, there's the need for such and so on and so forth. Secondly, the issue of how do we relate politically? Because the thing is, the trade union movement is political. It is not necessarily partisan, mark that word, but it is political because politics is about power. So one of the things that the bosses do, hello? One of what the bosses
Please put
I've muted the person. So one of the things that is done is that with the bosses, they separate industrial relations from politics, which in a sense, yes, because industrial relations, I will come to that, has to do with the collective bargaining and so on and so forth. But politics has to do with both governance and power in the broader sense of it. So there's nothing wrong, as someone posted, of like reaching out to lobbying, and the nurses have an edge here. Like even in every local government, you have nurses. You could even do petition campaign and things like that. But we cannot leave our faith in that. Okay, when some nurses get to power, they would now produce. I mean, a concrete example has been given. The greatest power we have is when we act together. And you can see this in the council, this verification change, which it took mass mobilization from below to push back on it. And you can see why it is important to go beyond just the traditional parties of the bosses, because which party was there on the streets with the nurses? I mean, it was the African National Congress, which is a radical party. And when you look at the history of trade union movement and the parties that have stood for us right from during the colonial period, it has been not parties of the bosses, but parties that reflect the interest of our classes. And lastly, one of the things I think we would also speak, maybe we can even have a session specifically on that, the issue of understaffing and overworking understaffing of health facilities and overworking of nurses and other health workers. And how this also relates to migration, but beyond migration, to the lack of decent work in our hospitals, to underinvestment in the education, training, employment, and well-being of nurses and health care and other healthcare workers. These are crucial issues, and these are some of the things that need to be taken up. And I mean, the issue of the union vis-a-vis the pressure groups, and I like the way Chinwe spoke to this, and even what seemed like some dissension between Adenike and Thomas. There are some nuanced points of convergence, and like, for example, that the ENF is not and cannot assume to be a union. It's essentially a network of activist nurses, and this is crucial, and this speaks to even what Adenike earlier said, of that beyond the good or bad, that they are no good or bad, the kind of pressure that comes from below is crucial, and that is where the need for activist networks like ENF comes in. I mean, without prejudice to appreciating the centrality of the trade union, particularly on industrial relations issues like collective bargaining and so on and so forth. And I even think, even with regards to the industrial relations, we need to take things a notch further. Right now, the health sector does not even have a bargaining structure of its own. It is part of the broader Joint Negotiating Council. There are some health-specific issues, just like in the private sector, you have NJICs, National Joint Industrial Council. You don't have just one single council for the entire private sector. You have National Joint Industrial Councils for iron and steel, a National Joint Industrial Council for chemical, so on and so forth, because of some specificities. Even when you look at even the salary structure, things like corners point at some specificity for the health sector. And that also brings one to the mind that, yes, this is the first solely nurses strike in 20 years, but there have been collaboration with Joesu before, even whilst you can march separately and strike collectively or strike individually or so. There should still be that conviviality. There should still be deepened collaboration within the sector because we share so much commonalities. And all that being said, I mean, we've gone as I keep repeating. So, but it was important to quickly make these bullet point interventions wrapping up. And lastly, if you are a nurse, particularly if you're a rank and file or activist-minded nurse and you've not joined the Elegant Nurses Forum, I urge you to join and be part of, I mean, the discussions, the engagement, and also if you are in nursing in a health facility where you have NANNM, I mean, join the union. It is your union. Contribute to also shaping, how did they say, be the change you want to see. You know, so these are essential things. And if you are, I mean, nurse, iron and steel, any worker, we also urge you to join the workers' rights campaign, and a link to a step towards that is in the WhatsApp group. And I would wrap up here by urging you all to keep in. We'll be holding these discussions regularly. We had one about a month back too, and yeah, please, the link for the ENF should also be shared. As we, yeah, I couldn't immediately dig that out, otherwise I would also have shared that. So we thank you all very much, and enjoy. I learned a lot from this discussion. I was inspired, and I got feedback from a lot of people. So a number of the questions in the WhatsApp group, apologies for those that might not have been addressed, even though Nostrilwe in particular went the extra mile in speaking to most of these. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week ahead. Aluta continua. Victoria Asata. Greatest Nigerian workers.
Great. Workers
Great.
and youths.
Unite and
Unite
fight.
and fight.
All right, comrades. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.